Hello everybody and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 148. I'm Annie, or also known as Annie Fuchsia. I'm a full-time streamer on twitch.tv. I mainly focus on World of Warcraft, as you may have guessed, or as you may already know, as I'm a big Warcraft fan. Today we got a lot of things to talk about. We got the alpha, and we got some other data mine content, and some fun stuff to mention. Before we get started, let me introduce my lovely co-host, Perculia.
Hey everyone, I am the site manager for Wowhead. I handle a lot of news and guides and the directions the features should take on the site. And we have had a very busy week with the Battle for Azeroth playable alpha going live, so a lot more to data mine, a lot more to play. There are new zones open, there are some interesting old god references, there are a lot of story spoilers in the broadcast text. So yeah, let's start off with the most important, exciting thing, playable alpha that opened on yesterday. Wow,
Yeah.
It's been a crazy 24 hours.
It feels like it's been longer than that.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, so the new alpha is now playable. It's pretty limited, not everyone has access, but as you may have seen already all over Twitch, or maybe on YouTube even, a lot of influencers have access and have been able to share their gameplay. I personally haven't had time to do it yet, as I haven't streamed in the past 2 days because of other reasons, but if you have seen any of it, then you may have discovered that the starting zones and some dungeons are available. So we got the Drustvar for Alliance and Nazmir for Horde. So the all the leveling zones are available for those two. And then I also got some dungeon pictures that I'd like to share with you guys of the dungeon called, let me see if I say it right, Atal Dazar.
Yeah, I think that's it. That is the dungeon the Horde gets as they are leveling up. And the Alliance equivalent is also open, which is Freehold. And there are 8 more dungeons coming in Battle for Azeroth, but only these 2 are open for now. And if you remember the BlizzCon build that you were able to play, Annie, I think this build is really similar to it. It has roughly the same amount of content, just, with some change spells and a little more polish here and there. So, yeah, as a little background on this dungeon, this is where it's the resting place of the Zandalari kings, and they're trying to raise them up and use their powers for bad ends and gain power. So we've got these really cool troll bosses in the Wowhead model viewer. And don't want to spoil too much of it, but basically it's the culmination of, I think, more of the Zandalar storyline that we haven't been able to see yet. So, yeah. Yeah, the models of the NPCs, like the Gold Priestess. Yeah, so much bling. Yeah. Yeah, exciting for you. Oops, what just happened?
Okay, I was muted the entire time. I'm so sorry. And I was
Oh
looking
no.
at pictures, so I couldn't even see the chat telling me that. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm back. I'm not sure how long I've been muted. I think I was commenting. Yes, I was commenting the dungeon pictures. Maybe you didn't hear me say that. So I was commenting how the dungeons look amazing and how we've seen similar styles of it on the NPCs and the other dinosaurs with the golden bling. We've seen it on armor and weapon, etc. I was muted since the cinematic. Yeah, I think I muted myself during the cinematic because I was clicking around. But I'm back. I'm back. You can hear me now. And then I also wanted to continue on with the next topic, which is one of the topics that makes me the most excited, the visual new spell effects. So as you guys may have seen already, Warlocks have a lot of changes coming in. Unfortunately, not the spec that I'm playing right now, but who knows, I may change to Destruction anytime. So let's show some of these spells here. We've got, for example, Warlock, Incinerate, and Chaos Bolt showing here.
Chaos Bolt is so cool. I think that's the best one out of all the updated or new talents.
I agree. I agree. I'm actually not sure if this video has sound, so I was like staying quiet in case it does, but it seems like it doesn't, so I can just comment. Yeah, so now we start seeing the Chaos Bolt. Before that was the Incinerate, and I think it looks really cool. I think Chaos Bolt has always been really exciting. Every time Chaos Bolt came with a new model or a new like cinematic, or not cinematic, a new effect, it's always been really exciting, and this is definitely one of those times again. It's awesome. We have also got some other Warlock updates. For example, we got the Rain of Fire here. There. Which is so much better than the old Rain of Fire. Like a huge improvement. I love it. Animation! Yes, that's the word. I should know it. My name starts with Annie, right?
Yeah.
We also
Some
got...
of the Hunter ones are cool, and Druid. Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna show one more Warlock one, the Soulfire, and then we can jump on to Hunter. For example, this one, Rapid Fire. There. I think Rapid Fire is really cool because that sort of strong, sort of reddish color reminds of the Dark Iron Dwarfs, for example, like with their eyes and everything. I think it's going to be really cool visually to see that. So I just repeated that video, and then we can give another Hunter example, the Chakram. Wait, how do you say that, Perk?
Yeah, Chakram is how it is.
Chakram.
Oh, we got a break in the way.
And then, last but not least, a lot of people have been asking about the Tiger Dash. So the way that Tiger Dash works, or maybe first I should mention the reason why it's been a topic of interest is because, what's the druid? Is it called Bestial?
It is Displacer Beast, and that's
Beast,
a talent that's being removed in Battle for Azeroth. It's something that teleported you forward, activated cat form, and increased movement speed for 2 seconds, and that's gone. So now we got Tiger Dash instead, which is activates cat form and increases movement speed by 200%, reducing gradually over 4 seconds on a 45-second cooldown, and it replaces Dash.
Yeah.
So,
and I think this is relevant to what, was it Ian? I think it was Ian who was talking about how we want people to have utility and like signature spells, but we don't want it to be like, oh, like I'm a druid and I have a blink, but mine is called this.
Right, because people are like, oh, why did the druid and shaman data mined blinks go away? And it's like, oh, well, that's one of them, but this one now has a slightly different flavor to it.
Yeah. And like they have a good point. Like if you have to describe a talent or an ability by calling it another class's ability, that shows that it's not unique. So
right, and then it's like, well, who is the best blink? And let's only take the class with the best blink. So then it's like, oh, well, I might as well not even have this utility because I'll just be benched whenever I need that.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of really cool animations. And you know, a lot of thanks to the Wowhead team, which was you know, clipping all these and asking people in chat what they wanted to see, and we'll keep that up. I know there's more talents we didn't highlight that seemed kind of boring or was the same, you know, it was like a very boring animation, but if you want us to clip more talents, let us know and we'll try to do a follow-up post. So yeah, what do we have next?
I think we could jump into the broadcast story tags.
All right. Yeah, so we should throw up a spoiler tag.
Spoiler tag, yes.
Yeah.
Let's bring this up. Spoiler tag up. Yeah, so we've got a lot of broadcast story texts which have been data mined, and Perculia and the Wowhead peeps have done a very well job at putting them together to uncover or to have a sort of idea of what's going to be happening. Perk, do you want to take over?
All right, so I'm not going to cover everything in the post because there was literally like 11.
I was scrolling forever.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like 11,000 things of text, and I try to only highlight the important ones, but it was still several thousand lines.
Yeah.
So a few interesting topics. We have some dialogue from the battle for Lordaeron, and we have some motivational speeches from Anduin, like brothers and sisters of the Alliance, hear me now. We stand as one in solidarity for those who are lost in the battle for Teldrassil, for the families who have lost their homelands. We have Sylvanas using Blight as a weapon. We have Ilaria and Mekatork assisting in battle, and the Alliance having Camp and Brill.
That's the quote that's showing right now, in case you wanted to read that.
We have dialogue implying that the Horde needs to evacuate, and that SI-7 spies were lurking in Undercity, and that the Alliance feels it's very important that Sylvanas is captured. So yeah, we get a bit more dialogue, what's going on there. And then we also learn a bit more about the burning of Teldrassil, which there was some discussion whether or not the Horde were really behind it, or if they were framed by like maybe a third faction, or if there was a misunderstanding. But based on this dialogue, it was very deliberately planned. For example, wisps are dangerous only in large numbers. Can we kill enough of them, War Chief? Sourfang, take some of our troops and go into Fellwood. Find or make path over the mountain at Darkshore, but leave the siege weapons under my command. We must make room for the arrival of the War Chief's fleet. Can you clear the docks? We're going to Everlook. How many smugglers do you know, Blightcaller? So it seems that this was definitely planned by the Horde, and that they really appear to be the aggressors in this case. I know it was popular speculation that like maybe the old gods framed someone, or maybe some faction that disagreed with Sylvanas caused the burning, but it seems that she, is leading the charge on this. We also got a little bit of dialogue related to the escape from Stormwind, which we've learned last week was when the princess of the Zandalari and Sourfang are rescued from the Stormwind stockades. We've learned that the Horde player, Thalrissa and Rokon, will infiltrate the stockades to extract the prisoners. There's also things about taking a ship to leave. There's something about, I think it's related to this, about Stormwind. Something in Stormwind is burning as a distraction to get them out of the stockades. So interesting stuff there. It's really interesting how super into the Horde the Nightborn is getting. They just suddenly joined, and now they're, invading Stormwind.
Yeah.
We also have something with Ashara and the Naga. We know that Ashara is going to be a boss in Battle for Azeroth, and it seems that the House of House Ashvane has partnered with Queen Ashara, and there's some war where they're fighting for Borealis, and Lady Ashvane calls upon the power of Queen Ashara to destroy the city instead of surrendering. Yeah, so, maybe this leads into the story about why Queen Ashara is going to be a boss, but it definitely seems that she's doing something sinister with Kultiras and their navy, and maybe that's why the navy's so powerful, because it's controlled by something really evil. Let's see. We have, just to run through, we have some dialogue with Vulpera that implies that they are being used as slaves at one point, and that you help free them. We have some funny dialogue with Grifta, where he tries to sell you crappy totems, being like, if Vol'jin had his invulnerability totem with him on the Broken Shore, he'd still be with us today. Don't make the same mistake. There's an arcane game that sounds kind of like a secret finding game challenge. There's some interesting dialogue with Jaina's story, in which he goes back to Kultiras, and something does not go well with her mother, Catherine. There is a line called IGC for in-game cinematic, and Catherine rejects Jaina and exiles her. Player is arrested, and then player wakes up in Borealis prison, 10 minutes of gameplay as they break out with Flynn. And then there's a lot of dialogue about how people are trying to find Jaina after she's been exiled. And then there's also dialogue talking about the Proudmoors working with Lady Ashvane, who we just learned was in league with Ashara. So seems like we're going to be in for... I think everyone thought that Jaina was going to, be in charge of Kultiras and everything would be great, but it seems that she has, a struggle in store. She's been exiled.
Yeah. I was actually sad to hear that.
Yeah. Then we've got some things with Kultiras, just like witches and covens and creepy children. Hard to piece together all the dialogue, but it's just kind of evocative to read. We could touch a little bit on the Zandalari omens. There's a lot of things implying that there's some ritual going on and some prophecies and some interesting dialogue. It's like ancient waters undisturbed for generations, a severed elf's head, all the troll tribes united under the Zandalari banner, a large egg shaken wildly but not cracking, a rising sun over golden water, a resurrection of former friend, a good omen of strength, power, and success. And so a lot of people are jumping on the resurrection line and being like, oh, is that Vol'jin? You know, are they resurrecting the former friend? But there's like dozens more lines about this, like, you know, the king's fleet and like Bwonsamdi looks away and the death of a new friend and a dark omen and priests killing each other and a vase leaking wine. And it's just, you can really go over the top with speculating all of these things. There's also like thousands of Zandalari line. There's a line about being attacked by bees, which could tie into the bee mount. There's some stuff about the horse racing, which we know there's like dozens of new horse models and an achievement for that. There's some Gallywix dialogue. There's some funny dialogue about bad wine between the Nightborn insulting the Zandalari. And they're like, I trust the Zandalari to build large, obnoxious buildings. I do not trust them to make wine.
Yeah.
There's some interesting horde dialogue that sounds like just bar chatter between the different races. The Faceless one has new dialogue. The Tortolan has a few new lines. Maximilian of Northshire is back. And yeah, just a lot of interesting dialogue, but we tried to highlight the biggest plot points. And some of this dialogue is probably used in the new leveling zones, which we'll have a write-up on very soon.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's. I feel like there's a lot of story here, but it's hard to know anything concrete. Like nobody died, so it's like, well, we know more about the story, but we still don't know the full story.
Yeah.
One more interesting thing is that in the Zandalari thing, there's a lot. It seems like the enemies or the people that have sided with Zul are all like vengeance for Laisha, vengeance for the Mogu. So there's this split with like the Zandalari that have joined the Horde and have, you know, become friendly, and the Zandalari that are following Zul and are very bloodthirsty and are, you know, the bad guys that we've encountered in, you know, Myths and Cataclysm. So I wonder how that will play out. I think people are speculating the king even might die at some point because they're making such a big deal about the princess instead. Like, oh, they're building her up to be the character, and like, wouldn't that be sad if he died in the rebellion and she took over type deal. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that is all the speculation story that we know.
So before Wowhead Weekly, I would never like read into things and start with speculations and stuff. So when I'm just sitting here like listening, and I'm like, this is so exciting. It's awesome. I really like how the text in Battle for Lordaeron was really building up. I'm not sure if we read all of the quotes, but it was really building up how serious of a war is going to be happening. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's like, it's building up the hype for sure. And it's going to be awesome to see this like either in, I guess, cutscenes, or it could be like in-game dialogues and all that stuff. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. My guess is that there's going to be some quest with the in-game dialogue, and then the crucial moment that turns the battle will be some sort of in-game cinematic. Because it sounds like the battle's definitely turned if, you know, one point Anduin is like, Father, give me strength, and then the next one is like, oh, like, you know, we won, we got to corner her. It's like, oh, well,
I think he asked his father for a miracle. I might be wrong, but I think he even asked for a miracle. Like it's okay. This is really serious now. You can really feel it in the text. I can't wait to see it in like picture, like in what's happening.
It's so cool.
Yeah, so you can understand the whole picture of what's going on.
So also one more note is that it's interesting how we hear about Ilaria and Mechantork, but there's some faction leaders that are not really mentioned at all yet, such as in the battle for Teldrassil, we hear about Malfurion's army, but we don't really hear them talking about the elves in Lordaeron. So I wonder if something happens to the elves, like, you know, it's like, does Malfurion die? Or, you know, why are they talking about Ilaria and the gnomes? And, like, Magni's mentioned at one point, and, you know, Anduin's obviously there, but some faction leaders are not mentioned. So I wonder if there's a reason why some are not there. But I guess we'll learn soon. So.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough.
Yeah.
Going on with the content for tonight, we can remove the spoiler tag.
Yep.
There we go. Looking at the recent build, we have quite a few new interesting things to mention. One of the interesting things is there are some new sort of old god themed spells, like something called Corruptus Pact even.
Yeah.
Which does Enzot's power courses through you, increase your damage, healing, absorption effects by 25%. And there's also examples of Shathyar being a new language added, which is the language of old gods, all which is sort of pointing towards or hinting towards some more things to do with the old gods being in the game in the next expansion. So that's really exciting stuff. I'm not sure if you wanted to say anything else about that.
I mean, not really. Just that it's always interesting to get hints. I know Blizzard's very visibly like, this is a faction war, and that's what Battle for Azeroth is. But it's like, hi, well, we've got like Yaxaron and Kazan and Cthulhu showing up too there. So yeah, it's just interesting to see how that develops. I also wonder if Blizzard is sort of putting a few things in to like throw us off, like
to tease us.
Oh, like let's just put a language in here. And maybe it actually won't be a thing, but we can just type this up in 5 minutes.
Everyone's speculating about old gods. Let's add the language, just to have them to think about more things.
Yeah.
Another little detail, or not a detail, but another little thing that was added to the game was Mew emotes that were added. So it's like someone is meowing at someone, and I was a bit of a question mark with that. I was like, Perk, is this the Volpera? Are they meowing? Or who are the ones meowing? But yeah, it's probably not the Volpera. It was just funny to see them as a new emote.
Yeah, we got like little furry creature updates and then furry creature emotes at the same time. So, but yeah, bright person interested. He's just sitting down below.
He heard his language. That's why.
Yeah, that's his language. So. Yeah,
we also
people are very excited about the emotes for some reason. They're like, "Oh my god, it's the best thing!" So even though it sounds silly, a lot of people were excited. So that's why I wanted to highlight it.
We also got some new models, including Volpera children.
Yep.
I'll show them off here. That is not Volpera children. That is Volpera. This is Volpera children. As you can see, they're very small and have very, very big eyes. So they're even cuter than the Volpera already is. It's funny because at first I was just like, oh, Volpera, it's so adorable. Then I was like, wait, this is even cuter than usual. Because the eyes
I wonder
are
if we'll
so
see
big.
them for Orphan Week, the Children's Week. That would be cute.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Very good point. We have some other updated models as well, such as these faceless ones, which again kind of hints towards more of old gods and similar. These ones specifically are actually not the one showing right now, but in the slideshow we also have the Kithics. I believe it's going to be showing after this picture, so you can see that as well. And it's really interesting how these models are being updated, because that probably means that they will take a bigger part, or maybe not a bigger part, but that they will be important enough to have their models updated.
Yeah. Also, Kithics is an interesting name because when there were the two old god generals, we fight one of them as part of the artifact quest lines in Tirisful Glades, and then the other old god general's name was Kithics, and he was defeated in one of the troll areas, so, maybe this could just be a generic name for like a fancy old god, but it could also mean that he's going to, I don't know, be resurrected or play some role in Battle for Azeroth.
So those were the pictures for that. The next point here will be very interesting for a lot of people, I think. So Perk found something called New WoW Error 236. Well, I'm not sure if it was Perk specifically. Was it you specifically? I just assumed.
I didn't data mine it, but I highlighted it. My job isn't to do the tech stuff. I just read everything and
put it together.
Try to hype it up.
Make it make sense.
Team effort.
Team effort. Yeah. Always giving credit to the team. So what's interesting about this line is that it specifies that access to this realm requires an account with an active subscription or game time. So it's like possibly a new type of realm which requires a subscription. And what could that mean?
Right.
Does that mean that it's Yeah, go for
We
it.
were thinking that it could be classic servers because like that's the only other type of realm we know about that could be existing. And we've also seen a few hints of classic WoW stuff in the Battle for Azeroth data, like all the profession achievements like scale up to 200, but then there's a vanilla one that scales up to 300 profession skill, and what has 300 profession skill like classic vanilla WoW. So
Mm-hmm.
and they did say they wanted to have everything be on the modern clients. Maybe we'll see a few classic things, show up in the also in the Battle for Azeroth data mining here and there. So I think that's related to classic. Of course, Blizzard's been very quiet about
Mm-hmm.
classic WoW in general. Even in interviews, they're like, "We're working on it, but it's still very vague." So,
Yeah.
or it could be nothing. They could just, I don't know, maybe someone hit the wrong button and just like pasted nothing, and it's like, oh well, this is meant to be for the existing Battle for Azeroth realm.
Yeah.
But I like to think it's I don't know. I like to think they're working on classic WoW.
Yeah. I think it would make sense as well. How
Yeah.
does it look if they would add a new realm? Like, let's say they would add a new realm for a new language. How would that look?
Huh. I'm not sure. I mean, it would be localized, I would think, if it was
Okay.
for that language. I'm not sure that that's a good question. I should look back and see what they did when they added like I don't know Italian or Portuguese
Yeah, I
a
think
few years.
Italian was the latest one, or maybe Portuguese. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really interesting though. It's like it builds hype for sure. It's like,
Yep.
really? Is this the one? Is it starting? Because, like you said, they've always been so vague about it. So, seeing some kind of solid hint towards it becoming real is nice.
Yeah. So this next thing, we just posted, it was on raid buffs, and we know in the BlizzCon beta, each class had some sort of raid buff, and I think people thought it didn't change, but it actually has changed a lot recently. So we just put an article up, kind of raising awareness about this because it's easy to like lose track of everything in the data mining. Um, so right now, Mage, Priest, and Warrior have primary stat buffs. Mage have Intellect, Priest give you Stamina, Warrior give you Strength and Agility. And then buff scrolls have been brought back for scribes, so you can have a War Scroll of Intellect, Fortitude, or Battle Shout to increase those primary stats by 7% instead. And we've also learned that there are several classes with damage modifier raid buffs. At the BlizzCon demo, Warlocks had Curse of the Elements that had a magic modifier, but that's no longer the case, and instead Demon Hunters have Chaos Brand to increase magic damage, and Rogues have Exposed Armor for increased physical damage. And some of the buffs that we saw at the demo, like the Druid Mark of the Wild or the Hunter aspect, or I think Death Knights had something as well. Those other buffs are not appearing yet at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not sure if they're gone for good or, alpha stuff could change.
Mm-hmm.
But Blizzard did, I think they even said at your interview that currently each class had a buff, but that could change in the future. They didn't want it to feel forced. So we're already
Mm-hmm.
seeing stuff getting shaken around if, Warlocks had something. And then once again, now Demon Hunters have what the Warlocks used to have.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I remember this correctly, but I think it was mentioned that multiple classes may have the same thing. So, what we noticed was that the Demon Hunter now has the debuff, which makes the target take more magic damage, which is, like Perk said, the one that Warlocks seem to have when we were playing at BlizzCon. So maybe the idea is that there might be like 3 different classes that has specifically that
Right.
debuff to not force you to, have to have a specific class or you'll lose on 5% of damage.
Right.
So it might be that maybe the Warlock will get the debuff or the spell, I guess you could call it, the spell back later on. We're not sure yet. We'll see. And
Yeah.
some raid buffs were also removed, or not removed, but they're not in the alpha, such as the Druid Mark of the Wild.
Yeah, I
So we
think
will see.
Druid, Hunter, Monk, Paladin. I think those are gone, and then the Shaman one isn't really a buff; it's more like a party utility thing. But their totem is back.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to spread the word that the
Mhm.
buffs are changing. And let us know if you want us to do more kind of spotlight posts on this. We do those big posts going over all the class changes, but we try to highlight important things. So let us know if there's another class topic you want us to really like go in depth about, and we'll be happy to do that.
Indeed. I see some people in the chat mention Thoughtseize, and yes, that's a new DK. I'm not sure if it's a talent, but it's an ability where they can spell steal from their target, and the extra interesting thing about that ability is that they can, after spell stealing it, they can give it to a friendly target, or give it to a friendly player, meaning you could steal something from your enemy and give it to your healer, for example, which is very interesting for PvP purposes.
Yeah. That's still also marked as NYI, which means not yet implemented, so it could change, but yeah, that's something cool that they're trying out. This next thing, people are very polarized on it. So Vulpera it's a little misleading, but basically Vulpera were added in the data as a race that could be a playable race or an NPC race. And people were speculating that it could be an allied race because everyone's hype about allied races. But more importantly, that's how the original allied races were data mined. So people are like, oh, well, you know, my Void Elf showed up this way in the data at first, so maybe the Vulpera are too. So Blizzard actually made a blue post clarifying not to expect every data mined race this way to be a playable race. And they said, you know, sometimes it's just basically easier for a dev that's trying to, you know, create a bunch of variations and different armor types if we code them this way. Yeah. You know, so don't get your hopes up, but I still think that there's a lot of potential, especially because there's so many customization options.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of customization. Yeah. If it's only meant for NPCs, that'd be very surprising. But yeah.
Yeah, they even have the little kids.
Yeah. Yeah, they even have children versions.
Yeah. So we were able to configure the dressing room to get the female Vulpera 2 load, so you can see how armor looks on them. And I think they have so many different skin colors. I think that the Warlock tier 6 image with the purple ears, I think that's such a perfect match for them.
Let me show the picture again.
Yeah.
I was showing it a moment ago. There we go. Yeah, like as you can see in the middle picture, those ears are a perfect match with those shoulders.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot. How many, or did you specify how many options there were for skin color?
Let me.
Or is it just a lot?
So I'm opening up the dressing room and I can cycle. They currently have 7 skin colors and 14 ear variations and 6 face variations.
Yeah. 14 ear variations. That's quite a lot.
Yeah. They're really cute. Some are like broken ears, some have a bunch of earrings. But yeah, they're super cute, and their faces have changed slightly since the first build as well. So like they're a bit more expressive as well, and they have a really cute sleep animation. They curl up and, like, you know, it's kind of like a cat, like their tail is all tucked in. So that's cute.
But yeah, so Vulpera is one of the races which has raised a lot of both super hyped opinions and very less hyped opinions. But I personally think they look really, really cute, and so I would be excited for them to be added to the game. No comment on the negatives.
Yep.
But you are, of course, allowed to have your opinion.
So the next update we have are profession updates. And a few things have gone in. Some notable stuff is that alchemists, in addition to the trinkets that give you more benefits from potions, there's a new type of trinket called a tincture, and it has a special buff that either heals you upon killing something or gets you a little bonus based on the flask you're currently using. So, for example, the tincture of fractional power copies the wearer's current flask buff at a fraction of the power for 10 seconds, and it increases your agility by 30. Keep in mind that there is a stat squish. So, for example, usually like an agility flask now gives you 59 agility, so having a slight buff of 30 is actually kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and that raises the question of whether they're considering or playing around the idea of making professions be sort of, I guess...
Like combat buffs, again, useful for,
you know... Like, are they going to be able to compete against other other profession, or like with each other? Like, will certain professions be better because they give this damage
Right.
buff? I mean, obviously in this case it's a bit more complicated, or maybe less complicated when you see the trinket options. This one is on an item itself. If you want to use it, that does mean that you have to say no to the other trinkets, which will probably end up being better. So it's not necessarily that this trinket sounds OP or anything, but it's very interesting still. I think it might lead to more thinking around the idea of a profession giving damage, which is something that they moved away from in the past.
Yeah. We also covered how Inscription now gets the scrolls that can give people class buffs. I'm just double checking this again. It doesn't show that these scrolls are BOP, so that's something they can make to sell for anyone, so that's interesting.
That's
The
how they always
engineers,
were, right?
yeah, when you mentioned the profession-specific perks, I was like, oh, like,
Oh,
this is something that
yeah,
only
yeah.
scribes get.
Yeah. Good
It
point.
doesn't seem to be that way.
Yeah.
We learned a bit more about enchanting bombs. They do a bunch of things related from polymorph to freezing to stunning to slowing, so that's neat.
I think you said enchanting. I'm not 100%
Oh,
sure.
yeah, sorry, that is engineering.
I might be
Enchanting
wrong,
doesn't
but
have
yes,
too much now.
engineering. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's engineering.
Mm-hmm.
We also learned that there is blacksmithing can make one expensive part, and engineering can make another expensive part, and together they are fused into the Zuli. It's a hard to pronounce thing, but it's a mount that is essentially Gallywix spelled backwards. So that is a cool mount that they can make.
I never realized it was
then,
that backwards. Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's why I can't pronounce it.
Yeah.
And tailors can craft new battle flags that have effects like reducing damage taken or increasing movement speed, and new 30 and 32 slot bags.
Mm-hmm.
And it also looks like the profession squish now goes up to 200 instead of 100.
Yeah. Which
so yeah.
is interesting. That means that they're still playing around and there's no set sort of end yet.
Yeah.
I wonder if that means, like, the skills that we have now, if they will be up to 100, then the rest of the 100 would be the new stuff, or if it's just the scaling altogether has been redone to 200 instead.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. And I think one of these professions, maybe it was blacksmithing, I don't remember, that gave like a mount speed as well.
Yeah, the items have new names, but the Broken Shore effects, but basically it seems that the Broken Shore, like stirrups and stuff, are going to be coming towards Battle for Azeroth, so like you don't get dazed and you stay mounted as you herb things, and I think you go faster, stuff like that.
Yeah, those are always really fun, or not fun, but really useful items. And there was another item, I don't remember which profession it was, that allows you to like interact while still mounted, which makes questing and things like that a lot
one
easier.
Of them too.
Yeah,
like there's the
Okay.
leather barding, and then there's the ocho hoof plates or stirrups, something like that. So yeah, this next part is my favorite. I'm really excited about this.
Dark Iron Dwarfs.
Yeah,
Got a lot of things to show you guys, so let's get straight into it. So there's a lot of customization options, and I'm gonna be playing this slideshow here. It's showing there. Yes. Okay. So as you can see, it's different examples of accessories, or in this case, the one that's showing right now is the different hair colors, and there's other images that are going to show different hairstyles, different. I also have this one, which will show the different skin colors. Here are the different beard styles as well. As you can see, there's lots and lots of customization available. Oh, that's the wrong image.
Oops.
Okay, for some reason one of the quotes showed up, but it's okay. We can just pretend that didn't happen. And these are the different skin colors that are available as well. And this is all for the male one, and I'll show some of the female ones in a second as these go through the list. Do you want to comment anything in the meantime?
Just that I was really surprised how cool the female ones looked. I know a lot of people are like, oh, dwarves, and they have majestic beards and awesome facial hair, but I was kind of blown away by some of the female hairstyles. Like, they've got the kind of like side-shaped head, and they've got these really elaborate braids and ponytails with a bunch of like skulls in their hair, and I was really impressed by the female hairstyles. I think some of them are really cool, and I've gotten a lot of feedback too. The people were like, "Oh, I just was gonna make my Dark Iron male, tank, but like, I'm actually considering rolling a female dwarf. They look really cool." And their hair has these really cool embers in it. So if you look at the bottom of a braid or a beard, there's these little like fiery effects, and their hair kind of shimmers. And I think that's super cool. People really like that on the Void Elves, so it's nice to see that tech being used for other races.
Yeah, I like that too. So we've got all the customizations going through here, different hair colors, different hairstyles, and similar, like here you see all the different hairstyles. There's a lot of options. I'm also going to play actually before I do that, I want to show you guys the different skin options for the female, since we did that for the male.
Yep.
So here you can see a sort of full body image of how the Dark Iron female will look like, and the skin color is changing every few seconds. Yeah, there. I think that's shown a few of them now. So let's go into the video, which will show a bit of the hair that Perk was mentioning.
Yeah.
I believe this video has sound, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear us, but I'll play it.
All right.
I'll play it.
You could probably
at least
mute it
until
too.
we
I
can
mean,
see the hair.
It's not like you know.
Yeah, I'm just not sure if I can mute it from here.
That's okay. Yeah. Well, let's just play a few seconds of it.
Actually, okay, it was not the female one. I've got the Dark Iron Dwarf male one.
Things are getting a...
Wait, that's not the one either. Okay, as you guys look through these pictures, I'm gonna quickly get the video that I was talking about.
Yeah. Also, as a reminder, all of these are available in Wowhead's dressing room, so you can create a character, you can fully dress it up in your favorite transmog set, you can preview all the animations with it, and you can save it and come back to it later on when you're logged into Wowhead. So definitely check them out and make some cool Dark Iron transmogs with them.
There we go. So now you can see the video. So the video starts off with showing the different body skins, and then you go into different hairs and things like that, where you can see the sort of flaming effect at the end of it, which looks really cool. So I'll let the video keep playing until we can see it. Oh, wait. Actually, I think I just muted it. Hopefully. I can turn it up a little bit. Could be nice with a bit of background sound.
Yeah, it's got a good Battle for Azeroth music vibe too.
I am awake now. So I think it's still going through different skin colors. Showing the video right now.
Yep.
And hopefully the next one will be the hair. Okay, this one is showing the different faces. You can already see like the technology that they're using around the eyes, which actually reminds a little bit of how the hair works as well. There's like these little sort of sparks, not sparks, little glowy things coming out of the eyes.
Yeah.
I think that looks really cool. And that was what I was talking about when I mentioned rapid fire looking like really bright red. It kind of like goes well with those eyes.
Yeah.
The eyes are cool. Yeah, the eyes do look really cool. Here, okay, now's the hairstyles.
Yay.
Embers, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. There, as you can see, even with this hairstyle, like it's not super visible, but you can see at the end of it, it's a little bit flamey. There, now you can see it even more because the hair is longer. That's what we were talking about. I think that looks really cool. And you can see it with most of the hairstyles, actually.
Yeah, so you've got the little embers, and you also have the red kind of flickering the solid mass of the hair. And that's super cool.
Yeah, I think that should give you guys a good idea of how it looks like. And if you want to see more of it, of course, you can check out the posts on Wowhead and the dressing room as well to play around with it yourself.
Yeah. So, in less fashion news, but still really cool, we also data mined their new racials. We've known the names a while, but now we know what the racials actually do. Well, most of them. So we've got, a lot of people are saying that this seems to be a good race to be a tank, because we have Dungeon Delver, which is indoors, you move 4% faster. Fireblood, which is you can remove all poison, disease, curse, magic, and bleed effects. And when you do so, your primary stats increase by 100 for each effect removed, and that lasts 8 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown.
And with Stat Squish, that's actually very strong, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can't play them yet, so the number could change, but that's still cool how, you know, when you remove everything, you get a stat buff. We've got Forged in Flames, so reduces damage taken from physical attacks. We've got the mysterious mole machine ability, which when you're outdoors, you can summon a mole machine that tunnels through the earth every 30 minutes. So we don't know if that's like a teleport or something, because it's on a really long cooldown. And then mass production, which is items crafted by blacksmithing are created twice as quickly. So every race gets a little profession-related thing. So they have blacksmithing, even though the Lightforged and I already also have blacksmithing.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people I know people are like, oh, the Nightborn is great for casters, like Void Elves with the burst. So this one seems to be the kind of tank-focused one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of tanks will decide to pick this for sure.
Yep.
And moving 4% faster is great, especially for Mythic dungeons as well. Since there's a lot of hype going around with Mythic, what's it called? The Mythic Dungeon Invitationals. And this is quite big.
Yep.
It's great for pulling stuff. We also, talking about the Dark Iron Dwarfs, we also have a sound file to play for you guys, which is basically the jokes and flirts. Hopefully you will like our choice of which ones we're playing. I find them funny. Let's see if you do.
Things are getting a little heated, don't you think? You make my iron heart feel warm, hot even. Wait, that's just my beard on fire again. Interested in joining the Mile Deep Club? Even Ragnaros didn't burn as hot as my heart does for you. Did you come from a diamond mine? 'Cause I want to learn all your facets. I can keep you warm on a cold night. Well, at least my forge can. I'm a hunk of burning love. Come here a second. I want to ask you a question. My wife complains that I leave soot all over the furniture. I say, it adds character! That Magni Bronzebeard thinks he's so clever. But I can see right through him. A night elf laughed at me for living inside a volcano. Well, at least I don't have to worry about my mountain burning down now, do I? What, too soon? I'm a very passionate fella. Canna you tell by the fire in me eyes? When a corehound messes on your carpet, you don't bother with a towel. You grab a fire extinguisher! Is that the best you got?
Okay, I can see from the comments in the chat that you guys are loving them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the female one was really funny as well. I could play that as well, but the reason why I chose this one was just a few specific ones, like the too soon joke. Things are getting a little heated, don't you think? You know, with the emphasis on heated. Which other ones? Like, I'm a very passionate fella. Can you tell by the fire in my eyes? You know, because Dark Iron Dwarves have the really red eyes. So it's, there's a lot of like really funny ones, and of course the Maldives Club.
Yeah, and the one that's about, you know, the talking about the volcano and the night elves.
Yeah.
I just sort of snarking them.
Yeah, super snarky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're all really funny. We have some funny ones from the Zandalari as well. Sadly, they don't have voices yet, but we have a picture for it. So I thought I would show them and read a couple of them. Not this one, let's see. Where do we have that?
Things are getting a little...
Yes, I think we're showing the female ones, yeah.
Yes, so the female ones. One of the main reasons that I chose this one specifically is the first one that shows right here. What makes that... Okay, I can't do the accent, so I'm just going to read it like myself. What makes the Zandalar superior? 2 words, good posture. And that's a really funny one because a lot of people mention this because of like how male trolls like have the sort of hunchy back, or like not hunchy back, but you know, kind of like forward leaning kind of posture. So that was a funny one that was mentioned there. And another one was elves, humans, no thanks. I cannot trust any race with that many toes. So it's really funny. I think Blizzard has always been great with the jokes and flirts in the game. it might be something like you may have not even. I remember once when I was showing some of them on stream, and a lot of people who've even played the game for years did not know that emoting a joke actually tells a real joke. Like,
wow.
there's a lot of people who don't know that even though they've played for years. So you can try it yourself. Like, even a race that you may already be used to. Check it out. Like, those jokes are actually really good, and I'm glad that Blizzard is, taking it even to the next level by making them even more funny with the new races. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So we also have a few model viewer updates. Nothing too fancy like last week, but a few things. And this was kind of cool because last week everyone's like, oh, Kulturas is boring and the Zandalari have dinosaurs. But now we got some hype around the Kulturan armor because it's very kind of steampunk Victorian, and we've got these beautiful flowing coats and a bunch of tri-cornered hats, and people really want these for transmog because we don't really have flowing coats in the game. So now people are hype about, oh, I want this for myself, and there's like beanies and like maritime hats and epaulets and cool buttons and 3D stuff on the coats and fur. So currently these are not for players except for a few of the hats. But everyone can dream, and people are hoping that maybe we'll have some thin humans and Kulturan humans as a race, and, we'll get this armor for them. So I think it would be cool. I'm happy to see the Kulturas get some love because it was seriously really Horde favored whenever I was posting models last week. People just really wanted the dinosaurs and the bling and thought all the Kulturas was kind of brown and drab. So I'm happy to see the other side getting some love.
Yeah, me too. I think these coats actually look really awesome. And like you said, it was a big up compared to last week when everything next to Zandalari looked kind of boring. But these look really cool. So I've gone through the slideshow for the coats. Let me show the hats as well. So yeah, there's hats as well as sort of more beanie-like hats, as you'll see in the slideshow. Right there, you can see them in different colors as well. So that's really cool.
Yeah,
and
as
I really hope the coats will become available.
Transmogged.
Oh, they can. That's already confirmed.
Yeah, not all of them, but there's a few. There's a few that show up as cosmetic in the database. Okay. A few of the tricorn ones.
Cool.
So that is pretty cool.
Going on to other models, we also have some more updates from the Warfront and Dungeon and more weapons. So last week we showed a lot of these. This time we still have a few of them. We can start off with the Warfront Horde leather. So we talked about this last week. These Warfront armor will come in different tiers. So there's going to be a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And there's a different type for each armor type as well. And as you can see in this slideshow, I'm showing the 3 ones for the Horde leather one. You can see this is number 1. And as it turns into number 2, you see a few more spikes, just similarly to what we saw on the plates one.
In tier 3.
Yeah, mega spikes right there in the tier 3 one. So if you may have noticed from last week that I think we had all the pictures from all the armor types except Horde leather, right? I think that was the only one that was missing.
Yeah, so now we have Horde leather. And I think we're missing plate, but we saw that at BlizzCon, so it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah. So now the collection is somewhat more complete. And we also got these Zandalari leather dungeon updates as well. Or similar to the different gear and armor that we saw before, they are pretty gold-like and colorful. At least the very top one and the bottom one, you can see green, red, blue. So it's similar to the other gears that we've seen, but this is specifically the leather dungeon set.
Yep. And then we also have a few weapons. These are just kind of odds and ends. We published a lot more last week, but we've got a firearm for Lady Ashvane, who we just learned, was involved with a lot of stuff, but spoiler tag isn't up. We've got a few more things from something called the Battle Dungeon, a Nazmir shield, a Battle Dungeon staff, and a Warfront's Alliance bow. So yeah, I think people are really excited about the bow because it's very Alliance theme and kind of looks like Trial of the Crusader when some of those weapons are no longer obtainable. So people are always happy to see more very cool faction themed weapons. So yeah, That's oh, we have one more thing for models, which you're probably excited about because one is a warlock thing. So
Okay, let me show right here. Wait, not these. I need to disable these videos. Just give me a second. Okay, there we go. We got, okay, speaking of warlock, we're gonna look into the offhand first.
Yep.
So this is it. You may have seen something similar if you have played a warlock or seen a warlock outside, specifically a demonology warlock, where your offhand is not really a normal offhand. It's not something that you're holding, let's put it like that. It's something that's floating in the air next to you. So now we've got this new one. I forgot what the name of it was.
So far the model name is Zalziax, and
that was it.
we've already data mined a boss model, a creature model for this. So it seems like maybe he's a boss, and then there's the weapon model as well. So like maybe we fight this guy, and then there's a special cosmetic thing for warlocks.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks. It seems like it's be a cool transmog for the demonology artifact.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of having bosses that drop weapons that they use, we've seen similar things in the game already, like the Scythe from Argus, for example. So continuing with that kind of idea might explain where this offhand will be from.
Yeah.
Another really interesting item that I'm going to show a video of is a high-res flaming sword.
Which is really cool because people really like Tibu's Blazing Longsword, which is a low-resolution flaming sword that's a super low world drop. And this is like a high-resolution version of that, like a very cool high-resolution fiery lightsaber.
Yeah, I think people always love these things because it's different. It's just a flame. Like you're fighting people with flame.
You are a lightsaber.
Yeah. And here you can see the NPC walking around with it as well. Yeah, I really love it because it's not like, I think most of the old ones are just sort of like a pure color, whereas this one has like proper like animation around it as well. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Very suitable for a Dark Iondorf. That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
that
would look cool.
Transmog really well. So a transition with allied races. We're done with all the beta stuff, but we have some interesting stuff on allied races on live servers. One is we covered some interesting things with like the Void Elves last week and stuff with the Cathedral of Light, and this time we have an interesting interaction horde side with the allied races. So we've learned that if you have played an allied race horde side, you may have learned that the ambassador is pretty grumpy. He's like, "Are you the new one?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to welcome you. Take this letter. Here's an exasperated sigh. Glances at you, smiles unconvincingly. Good lifetime of adventure. I'm tired of reading this. Leave me alone." And you know, that's not a very nice welcome. And if you are an allied race, you get to meet the guy called Auditor Dawn Porter, who, if you talk to him in Orgrimmar, he has lines like, "We have a Forsaken Ambassador," which makes sense, but what does it cost us? Can you tell us of your experience with the Ambassador Blackguard? And it's like, he was rude and blatantly offensive. His appearance was off-putting. He should be replaced immediately. And you can even talk to the ambassador after you pick up the quest, and he has funny dialogue options like, "It hurts trying to crack a smile. I try to leave this job and an orc picks me up and plops me right back down here, you know. I hate this. Like, I used to be a famous pirate, now I'm dug up and I hate this job."
Yeah.
So, it's just very tongue-in-cheek how the quest givers have personalities, and some of them don't like being quest givers.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. I love how he just interrupts himself mid-sentence, like, "I've done this way too many times. Just take this and go away. Get out of my face. I've done this a million times already." So basically, this interaction is specifically for allied races on horde side. So if you're a Nightborn or a High Mountain Tauren, you can go there and you will. Yes. Then you can go there and witness it yourself. Find a petition and sign it.
Yeah. He ends by saying, "I shall present the petition after I have enough signatures." So
Yeah.
I love how the options are all negative, like it's such a biased survey. But he is kind of a rude guy. So
Yeah. So it's well deserved.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, there are the usual live WoW events, and the interesting thing, most interesting thing, is that it's the World Quest bonus event, which overlaps with the Darkmoon Fair, so you can get a large amount of reputation done if you're working towards allied races. Specifically, people are saying, you know, Army of the Light and Argusian Reach are difficult. So, you know, World Quest is like a 50% boost doing the quests, and then Darkmoon Fair is 10% in general, and they stack.
Yep.
It's the Wii buff or the Top Hat. Both don't stack, but like one Darkmoon Fair buff stacks with a World Quest buff.
Yes.
Yes. It's not, you can't get World Quest and then Wii and Hat at once.
No.
But it's, you know, it's still really good. We're